You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer podcast. Let the story begin.
One time for the lovers, two times for the ladies, three times for the brothers, four times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 One time for the lovers, two times for the ladies, three times for the brothers, four times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin. Hold me down.
Brown, like, every time I hear that intro, I just want to rap. Like, I want to hit me up on Twitter if you would buy a rap album for me. Because if I get like 100 tweets, I might create one. I'm just playing though. Thank y'all. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Greg E. Hill, the culture change agent. And you are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer podcast. And you already know this is the show we interview the young, successful minorities in a variety of fields to educate, to empower, and to inspire our current and future generation leaders. And I know last episode I gave y'all a remix. I gave y'all a blast from the past. I interviewed Jonathan Butler, the guy that started the Missouri hunger strike. We talked about protesting. It was a great episode. In this episode, I'm actually digging right back into the crates. Digging back into the crates from an interview I did in 2014 that I did not release because I just knew I had some gold in it. And it's a pretty short interview for Minority Trailblazer podcast because usually, I go over my hour, maybe hour 20, hour 40. You didn't see some 2.5 videos interviews. So this one's pretty short. And the reason why I wanted to kind of dig into crate this episode is because where this person is at now, she's in a whole totally different place for her business, what she does personally. And this is like, you can kind of see before they actually transition into their new way. So once like you listen to the end of the podcast, you go to the website, you're like, hold up. The stuff they were talking about, they went through with that. As well as she added on a whole other brand of herself as far as with visual design, web design, graphic design, and all that stuff that she didn't even knew she was going to do when we did the interview in 2014. So it's neat going in 2017 to go into crates to see an unreleased interview and to see in 2 years with action, with consistency, with focus, how she was able to span her own personal brand, but also make true on some of the promises she had for her own business. I also want to tell you that, and I say this with a heavy heart, we will be taking a break. We will be taking a break. And after this episode, there will be no more podcasts for the remainder of 2016. So we're going to start brand new, fresh on January 5th, 2017. That Thursday. That's when we starting. Get back into the hole, and we will not miss a beat until season 3 is done. So that's like 14 episodes straight. I got some phenomenal interviews planned that I'll be doing over the break and just restoring and refreshing. I just need that time off. So I thank y'all for continuing to share the episode, being loyal listeners and listening and sharing and letting it get to where it needs to go. And these next 2 weeks, I'm going to refresh, regroup, and get ready to take things to a whole nother level in 2017. So first, I just want to say, if you're listening right now, thank you so much for listening. Over 49 episodes of my voice ringing in your ear every single episode, so I appreciate that. And as we move on to 2017, I know I won't be able to get a chance to say this, but I wish you a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. I wish you a Happy Hanukkah, as well, a Happy Kwanzaa, and also a happy and amazing and phenomenal New Year. And don't forget, you deserve to win. Regardless of your past, regardless of the things that you messed up, regardless of the goals that you didn't hit, regardless of the things that you shouldn't have said, regardless of the things you said and probably meant but were wrong in the first place, like, don't ever forget that you deserve to win. I got a whole speech in there, but I ain't going to do that tonight, all right? Also, you already know, please, if you haven't already, please leave us a review on iTunes and SoundCloud. Please follow us. And I look forward to bringing you more content and more things to share in the beginning of 2017. And also, that is when we'll be launching the website for minoritytrailblazer.com, a soft launch, but at least be able to collect email addresses for those that are interested in attending the Minority Trailblazer Summit. I'm telling you, early bird tickets will be very, very low. I'm probably going to do a Kickstarter. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm in planning stage over the next couple weeks. That's also why I'm taking this time off, because we have a big, big conference coming in 2017, and I need some time to just focus solely on that. So I'll see you again on January 5th, Thursday, 2017. But before we get there, I want to share this exclusive Throwback Thursday of exclusive you ain't never heard before from a young lady, a young woman, rather, that is taking, since this interview has taken her own brand to another level, as well as taking her company to another level. So hope you enjoy the show. Let's get right into it. Born in Petersburg, Virginia, she speaks Turkish and German. She graduated from Florida A&M University. Got her MBA from Florida State University. I mean, she's lived in Germany. I can't even pronounce this stuff like bad. Bamberg was bad. Like, this is crazy. I can't even pronounce what she lived in. Virginia, Hawaii, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, everywhere. She's the founder and lead contributor at www.oneyoungtraveler.com, and she'll get into what that really stands for when we get to her intro. And I don't know why I got a smiley face beside Leo, but she's a Leo. And everybody, I want y'all to welcome my sister, my creator, my black girl magic entrepreneur, extraordinary consultant, accountant, all that good stuff, Aylin Marie, to the Minority Trailblazer podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. You really upplayed that. Made it sound good.
Now, before I dig in, if you're new to the show, this is how the format works, right? First part of the show, we dive into her story, how she got to where she is today, her experiences. Second part, we talk about her business or what she does. And for her, it's One Young Traveler. The third part, we talk about the future, because I'm a big proponent of planning and thinking about the future. So we talk about that. And the last one, we have the best round, the favorite round, the culture change round. So let's kick it off. Let's kick it off. So, Aylin, please give me a background about yourself and explain to the audience who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So currently I'm based out of Atlanta. I'm a consultant at a public accounting firm, so I'm usually flying out every week, working in a different city depending on the project, depending if it's a couple weeks, couple months. So I originally grew up as a military brat. My dad's in the Army, still currently in there now, me and my younger brother. And so, like you said before, we've kind of lived everywhere, lived in about 5 different cities in Germany. My mother's Turkish, my dad's African American, and my mom has a Muslim background and my dad has a Catholic background. So growing up, just seeing 2 different, cultures, races, religions, for my brother and I, that kind of fueled the fire of culture and traveling and learning about people, learning about different things that happen around the world, which is what I'll get into a little later with the travel blog that I created that I'm now writing with Rachel Hill. So aside from the corporate America, that's what I do on the side. Recently, we just launched One Young Traveler about a month ago. And at first, it just started off as a travel blog. I was just, blogging about where I've been, things I've seen. And then I started getting a lot of questions and emails about people who've never been abroad, questions about where to start, what to do. I've even had crazy questions of people being scared to even step outside the country, being, an African-American woman or man. So that kind of gave me motivation to change the path of what I wanted to show on this blog. And that's when I brought in Rachel Hill, who also is a travel blogger. And there are a lot of, I think our generation has been doing such a great job, especially with the minority group in traveling and seeing different places. And I've worked closely with Zim. I think she's actually on one of our podcasts, who is the founder of Travel Noir. And there's a lot of different things out there that really support Black minorities and young people to travel. And then our blog is more geared toward the Generation Y. So regardless of your background, we kind of wanted to hit everyone.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, you can be of any minority descent, but we wanted to incorporate everyone's background. And so right now it's just going to be a platform for advice, tips, stories from different people. Recently, we did a really big story on 4 different individuals who are biracial and kind of getting their insight on, they're all mixed with African American, but also another distinct culture. So we had Germany, Korea, Turkey, Puerto Rican. And it's kind of just to give everyone a heads up and understand like how people are different and what they do that makes them so different or why we see them differently. So right now it's just kind of more of a platform of expression, but we want to later start creating, one of our platforms would start to create some travel guides for people. And we want to start incorporating an actual experience. So actually bringing people into these groups and traveling with them. So, they'll have a theme to it. If it's somewhere in the Middle East or Southeast Asia, what about those regions do we want for people to see or to learn? Let
me take a step back, because before I'm about to get into our quote to kick it off, but I really want to talk about this travel, because honestly, I have never been outside of the United States, and I've been to Canada one time, but I don't know how I found Aylin and her blog, but I visited her blog and I was like, oh my God. Like the pictures and the words that she wrote about traveling abroad. It was like I was already there. It was like I was there in Istanbul or looking at these great monuments, and I'm like, this is amazing. So I said I had to have her on the show because there's some affluent African Americans that have been able to travel the world and see everything. But then there's people like me that have never been out of the United States, and there's people, maybe a college student out there or a high school student, middle school student, has never left the state. So definitely take all the stuff we're about to talk to in, because this is really huge, and us for our minorities to have those, and we talked about it offline, to have that diverse and global perspective on things. I mean, I can't wait to dig into that, because that would change your life. So let's start it off before we kind of get into a little bit personal about you with a quote, because I'm a big quote guy. Everybody that knows me knows that I wake up every morning at 4:30, and I don't tend to quote then, but I send a quote before people start their day to like 100 people, and let's get this ball rolling for this podcast. Let's set the mood. So, Aylin, give us a quote, and then tell us how you use that on your everyday life.
Yeah. So the first one that came to mind, and obviously because traveling is a big part of me, is a quote by Mark Twain that says, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness." And I love this quote because a lot of people, and even if you can get out your state or your city and you see different things within the U.S., it doesn't even have to be abroad. You meet different people. You meet different people from other cultures and religions, and you get to learn about them. And the more that you start to know of these people, the less judgmental you become. And I know, like, growing up, I would explain, people would always think, well, what are you? And you look this, and you look Puerto Rican, you look Dominican. And I'm like, no, I'm mixed, and my mother's Turkish. And a lot of people don't know of the Turkish culture. There's not a huge, there's Turkish population here, but it's not as big as other races. And, it would get into conversation of where it's located. It's in the Middle East. It's predominantly Muslim, about 99%. And so people would ask the question, well, is your mom Muslim? And, with the media here in the U.S. and just things that have happened in terms of war and all this stuff, Islam has a bad name tacked to it, based on what we see. And if you don't travel and if you don't know people of other cultures and religions, you won't know that, that's not just it. Now, in any religion, there are radicals and there's extremists. But, I would get so flustered and really into these conversations when people would ask about my mother and her religion. And at the end, like, Islam in Arabic means peace. And this quote just kind of, every time I read it, that's what I think about. It always takes me back to my mother. And, growing up in with two different religions kind of around, me and my brother kind of took it upon ourselves to research and learn about these things. And if you don't, and traveling is a big part of it. If you don't travel, you don't you don't get to see these things or learn about these things. So
That's
I would
deep.
start off with that.
And also, tell me about a story or experience where you learned something in a different culture and it changed your perspective about what you previously had thought. Because I know traveling exposed you to some things. So, because I think that goes right into your quote. So, tell me about a story or a time where you were traveling and you was like, "Wow, I never thought about it that way," and it kind of changed your perspective.
Okay, let's see. So I don't know, this is probably 2 years ago. I traveled to the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, to see my sorority sister who was teaching there at the time in Abu Dhabi. And we were driving to Dubai. She had a car there, so we were on the highway. And maybe we could have been driving back because I know the sun was setting. And so, there's nothing out there. It's like complete desert. You're just on one-way street going all the way down. And there's a few cars, a few buses and trucks. And as the sun's setting, literally everyone just started pulling over, and there was this huge bus that pulled over with a lot of workers. And I don't know, in the UAE, it's a very low amount of Emiratis who actually live there. It's like 30 to 40%, and everyone else is basically brought into the country for work. So there's a huge population of Pakistanis, Indians, Filipinos, like every culture. But everyone started getting off this bus, and they were all of different cultures. Like, you can see the differences in everyone, and they all just like formed a line on the middle of on the end of the highway, on the sand, because it's just desert around you, and just started kneeling and praying towards the sun. And I mean, these are people who have probably been working all day, probably all night, because a lot of them are outdoor or construction workers, and probably on their way home, but it took the time to stop on the side of the road just to get down and pray. And it was such a beautiful thing to see. It was such a peaceful thing to see. And I don't label myself necessarily as any religion, but I find beauty in it all. And so just being able to see something like that, and regardless of what people are going through that day, as long as you find that moment of peace and solitude, just to kind of take your mind off of things and be grateful for what you have. That was probably the most powerful thing I've seen traveling. And Turkey is a very modern Muslim country, very westernized. So it was very different seeing some of the other conservative Muslim countries when I traveled that summer. Wow. It was really different even for me.
So you're driving in Abu Dhabi, like, this is crazy. Abu Dhabi, desert, and you are just driving, the sun is setting, and you and your friend, you're driving through the car, and then you see people just pulling over left to the right, like, what is going on? Like, what is going on?
And imagine just, it's hot. It was in the summer, so it's like 115 outside. There's nothing but sand.
Stop. 115 degrees.
It's just nothing but sand around you, and it would happen so quick, so I couldn't take a picture or a video, but it was just such a beautiful thing to see, and it gave me it was a great appreciation for religion in general, and what it does for people.
That's huge. So let's make a transition. Let's transition into One Young Traveler and your inspiration behind it and how you started, because there's a lot of people out there and that they might be thinking about starting a blog or starting. So I want you to kind of walk us through, okay, where does One Young Traveler come from in depth, and then the story about your first blog post and how you kind of started releasing this information to the world.
Okay, I probably went into a little detail in the beginning, but like I said before, it just kind of started off as a blog for myself, just to track where I've been, put up pictures. A lot of times it's really just for my friends and family to see. And then I just started getting questions of like, what can I do if I want to go here, what should I look for? This is my first time. I don't even know where to start, or even a simple question as, where do I get my passport? Yeah. And so I wanted to create more of a outlet for people to ask questions and just really build a forum more so for people to, ask us questions. So now Rachel and I just kind of wanted to set up as our email box to kind of just be an open area for people to email us and ask us questions. We're now working on a tablet, what's going to be compatible for like iPhone and tablet, and e-read for just first time. Well, this is going to be just like a download for first time travelers. So just kind of like important tips and things for people to consider when they're traveling.
Like an ebook?
So you can just take it offline and look at it. And that's kind of just going to be our first step to kind of pushing that out and helping people. And so, being that the age that we are, we wanted to gear it towards the Gen Y. It's a big thing for our generation to go out, explore, see things. So even aesthetically, we wanted it to be clean and modern and talk about things that people our age are interested in, whether it's fashion, music in other countries, anything that it could be, anything that anyone wants to read, just to email us with suggestions. And so that's what we want it to be now.
Okay, yeah.
And when we get an audience and we get a group of people who are really interested, we would like to do more of something that's, engaging. So whether we do a community service project together or we travel or we do meetups, we want it to be very, very much a network versus just a platform for just tips and advice.
Honestly, so
that's what we're working towards.
So the three things I took about that for anybody that's starting anything: one, you started small, something you just like to do, right? It was just, okay, I like traveling. Let me just share it with my family and friends. So this is something you obviously had a passion for, and you just like to do it. And then the second stage is you realize in this market, a lot of people didn't know the knowledge you already knew, like as far as where to get a passport or what to look for, a tip. So you realize, like this is common knowledge for me, but there's a large group of people that really don't even know where to begin. Like, it's crazy. So you realize that after you kind of started posting it and posting your experience. And then the third part and where you're going into now is you building a community. And that is big for anybody that's going to be an entrepreneur, anybody that wants to be an influencer. You have to have a tribe.
Yeah.
You have to have a tribe and people that want your content, want your product, want anything, but you build that not by saying, okay, you didn't just say, oh, I travel now, I want to start selling packages and whatnot, or I want to start bringing this. No, you just first started just sharing my experiences. And then as time came, other people, like, how'd you meet Rachel Hill?
Oh, we actually went to school together, and she traveled, she did her own thing, I did my own thing, and it was like this past year I was putting on a project in Philly where she was living. And so we met up and talked a lot, and then it just kind of like clicked, well, maybe we should do this together, because between all the people that she knows and then I know, we can at least create a wider range of network to start kind of bringing people in. So that's how it worked. It kind of just naturally formed. We had the same interests. So.
And question, how do you balance being a consultant for one of the biggest companies in the world and running a full-time travel blog? They're not just posting tips, but where y'all going and transition. Like, how do you balance that?
It's tough. I do have to pick out certain days of the week to kind of just dedicate my time to it. When I was working in the audit practice, we have a thing called busy season. And I mean, there's a lot of times where I just went on hold just because I did not have the time. I mean, I was clocking in 90, almost 100 hours a week. Ugh. And I'm just, when I came home, I just came home to sleep, woke up and went back to the office. So I knew I needed a change because I also wanted to change later on and, what I'm trying to do with traveling, blogging, and bringing on a more consulting role. So I ended up switching into our advisory services practice, which is a little bit more flexible for me. And I get to travel. They pay for me to travel. So it even helps me even more to learn and give tips and share those experiences with people. But it's tough. Like, but if it's something that you want to do and something that you're passionate about, you're going to make time for it. And, timing is also everything. It probably wasn't meant for me to start it 2 years ago or a year ago because work and everything was so hectic. But now that I kind of have a grasp on things and I have someone who's also next to me on my side, Rachel, who wants to do the same thing, it's nice. And I was talking to a friend of mine through my company who is actually opening up a store, and she's from Ethiopia, and she's traveling back and forth to Ethiopia for garments and fabrics and things like that. And she met with one of the entrepreneurs in Africa who is well known and wealthy, and and she asked, well, what do you do to get so far in your in being an entrepreneur? And the first thing he said was partnerships, like knowing people, working with different people. If there's something that you aren't necessarily have expertise in, find somebody else who is and work with them. It's all about collaborating. I mean, it's all about using other people for what they're good at. And so having Rachel on board kind of just really helped spread the word, one, and the work. So I mean, it's doing these kind of things that you love. It's hard to do it all on your own. It's good to have people. It's good to have a network. Even Zim has been such an inspiration to me. She was the one who kind of like got me back on my feet. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been tough, but I'm working on it.
That's amazing. Like the power of partnerships, and even no matter who you are or how good or popular or popping you think you are, you have to partner with people in order to take it to the next level. So I got a question. And I remember when I was trying to plan a trip back in the day. I sent you an email. This is before I even really knew you. I don't know. I just sent you an email. Like, it was crazy. I don't know what happened. And you gave me a billion tips and resources to help out. Like, I mean, pages on pages and pages. So for all the people out there to say, okay, maybe I want to travel, so let's talk about some resources, some tools, some websites, because this is the fun stuff. This is what people really want to hear, because I love the story. So talk about some tools and resources that a beginning traveler or a person that just wants to learn more, where can they find out more information about this, and give some tools and tips?
Yeah, I can go on like all day about this.
You got. I'm gonna give you like.
I know, but
minutes,
I'm gonna try to
go ahead, give it to us all.
So if it's your first time, and some people don't necessarily know where they want to go, you have to think about, okay, what is it that you're trying to get out of your trip? If already leaving the country, stepping out of your comfort zone, then maybe go to more, go to a country that speaks English, or go to a country that's a little bit more westernized, because traveling can be a culture shock for a lot of people. And if they're not ready for it, it can almost turn them off. But you have to consider those type of things. You also have to be, mindful when you go to these countries, your customs are not the same. So what's considered rude or genuine for you may not be that way in another country, and you just have to be mindful. But some websites that I use, I like Air Scanner for flights. I even use bing.com/travel, because with major airports and cities, they will actually tell you whether the flight price, like the flight ticket, is going to go up or down in the next coming weeks. So if I see that it might go down, I'm not going to buy it until, the price goes down. TripAdvisor is really good. Let's see, what else do I use? I'm big on travel hacking, which is going to be another big development on our site. But I try to get points where I can. So like I went to Panama last Memorial Day weekend, and it was a free flight. It only cost me $10, which was like the fee. But there's different ways.
$10.
Yeah, I know. There's different ways that you can build miles from flying, doing surveys, credit cards, but you have to be mindful of how you do them. But there's different ways where you can gain miles in order to get a free flight. So if anyone, even if you're doing domestic flying, before you buy another ticket, sign up for every mile Sky program, whatever you can think of, before you start flying, so you can build them, because every mile, every dollar literally counts. You can get away with so much. If you're an open person, places like Europe, like hostels are very clean, they're very cheap. I would go there. People think that traveling is so expensive, but it doesn't have to be, if you research and you do it right. So I'm trying to think of other.
Yeah, right now we're good, because if they want more tips, they know where they can go. They know where they can go. So you just gave them a little.
They can
tip.
email me, and I will definitely respond with a book.
Yeah, like it was crazy. I asked for like 4 or 5 different. I wish. I might do a screenshot, and I'm gonna put. Actually, that's what I'm gonna do, because in the show notes, all the links and resources for what we're talking about will be on there. But I'm gonna do a screenshot for this email to let y'all know how legit she is with this stuff, man. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So before we get into the future round, I want to ask one more question.
Yeah.
For bloggers especially, when you first start, I mean, a lot of times you look at some of the visitors and you're like, oh man, my site's not getting that much traction, or the comments, and a lot of people get discouraged. Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they start off with a lot of momentum. They had they had Instagram stuff about, yeah, visit our site, boom, boom, and then a month down the line, nobody started blogging because they didn't get the traction they wanted. They didn't get the people, the visitors they thought. So what would you say to a first-time blogger out there that is not getting the traction they want, or the comments or the engagement they really seek?
So I go through WordPress for my blog, and there's a lot of different ways to get traffic. What Rachel and I started doing is looking into affiliate marketing as well. So we have a ClickBank account, which is which you can earn money doing that, and we also have an Amazon Associates Program account. So when we list things, it's linked towards Amazon, which you can help monetize your blog. So when I list like different books that you can travel, recommended books that you can read on a flight, a train ride, whatever, while you're traveling. And so all those books are linked to an Amazon link. So every link that's being clicked on, your blog can be monetized. And it also even helps for searches, because those will come up in searches to produce traffic. We have a Twitter and Instagram account. You just have to really, I think, for people our age too, the way things look, visuals, aesthetics are important. If something looks clean or modern, or you like the pictures, it grabs people's attention. So we try to keep it on the more artistic side of what we post. I mean, using hashtags on Instagram, even reaching out to people in person. If you have a good knit of people, whether it's your sorority, your friends, like, draft up an email, be personal, let them know that you have this going on and you would like for them to follow it, or you have, a sign-up list that you would like to use. And we use MailChimp, which I really like. Yeah, it's really clean, really easy to send out emails. Once people sign up, whatever email that you put together, it will distribute to everyone. Like I said, Twitter, following people that have the same interests as you. There's a lot of other travelers that I would, look through Instagram and filter out and see what they're doing. If they have the kind of look that we like, or, some of the ideas that we like, we follow them, we reach out to them. And a last tip, what I do when I write posts. So sometimes I'll say, I had one that was like the 5 dopest boutiques in the US, or some great restaurants in Atlanta. After I feature them, I link their site, to my post, but I also email them directly, just kind of like you can create email templates. And I just say, hey, we featured you on our travel blog as, this and this and this. Just want to let you know that it's on there. If you have any reason as to why we don't want to feature it, please let us know. We really enjoyed your place, hope you like it. And so even doing that, like, I would get feedback, and those either restaurants or boutiques would put it on their Twitter page or put it on their Facebook page, and also let them know, hey, we've been featured on this page. So get involved in groups, Facebook groups, Twitter conversations of people who have the same interests, and let them know what you have going on. But you have to be consistent. Like, you really have to be consistent in talking. You can't just post something and expect people to just see it. You have to be proactive in getting that audience.
Yeah. So it's basically a conversation. It's always a conversation.
It's basically a conversation.
And the 3 things that I highlighted from what you just said that are, one, you have to ask. Like, you can't just say, oh, everybody knows me, I'm just going to put this out and people are going to support. No. Like, there's so much. Y'all been online before. You go online. You thinking about going to ESPN.com, and then you go on Two Dope Boys. Then you go on GQ.com. Then you go on this. Then you go on Facebook. Then you go on Twitter. It's so, everything in the world is grabbing your attention. And while you're looking online, somebody's texting you. And while somebody's texting you, somebody's talking to you from another room. So you have to let people know via call, email, text, or what they should be looking for, first of all. And even on Facebook, this week I did a paradigm. I was sitting on 874 likes on my profile page, and I was like, how can I get to 1,000? Like, there's something about that 1,000 threshold I want. Then I was like, Greg, did you ever ask the people that follow you on Facebook to help you get there? And I was like, dang, I didn't. So I did that today, and I'm it's been like 2 days, and I've increased like 100 already 100. I'm like 40 away from my goal just for simply asking the people.
Oh yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. 'Cause I'm like, yo, y'all friend me on Facebook and y'all not gonna like the page. But it's as simple as asking. The second thing that I want to talk about is that you link to other people, and I think you utilize, and I just started doing this this last week on Instagram and Twitter, right? A lot of people have, or say for travel, there's so many blogs of travel up there. So you follow one person in the travel industry, you look at who they're following, and then you see a list of all these other people. And not only do you follow them, but you look on their pictures and like, oh, this comment, like, oh, that's amazing, boom, boom. And then they look at your stuff. As long as you're, that's one thing too. You got to make sure what you're posting on social media is accurate to what you're trying to do.
Right.
But then they're like, oh, this is dope, and they're commenting, and then that dialogue. That's how you start that dialogue. So. It's kind of crazy, man. I mean, honestly, we could do a whole hour just on that direct thing right there.
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
And then I like the piece about ClickBank and Amazon Associate. I just got my Amazon Associate discount approved, and ClickBank is huge. But affiliate marketing, monetizing your blog, like I can do an hour on that too. So
oh yeah,
these are great resources. So everybody take that into consideration. So let's go into the last round, and that is the future. And I know you spoke about a couple different projects or events that you and your team and Rachel Hill and One Young Traveler is working on. So kind of, if you can pinpoint the top ones that we'll be releasing anytime soon that our viewers and listeners need to be aware of, what would they be?
So the one that we're actually going to be work on is just kind of like you mentioned earlier, the ebook or e-read that we want to create for first-time travelers, and this will just be a free download if you just sign up with us and follow our listing and get our updates. And so that hopefully will be out in the next 2 months, definitely before the end of the year. And then we're going to have a few talks with some people that we're working with for these travel guides. And those will be basically a download for your phone for different cities. And we'll start with the U.S. We'll have people help us working in different regions. We're trying to get people in local areas to give them tips, whether it's things to see, restaurants, things to do, historical areas to go see if you want to learn about things. So we're gonna hopefully launch that in 2015. It's just a matter of finding our design people to help with our design team and others that we would like to work with who are in those local areas. And then we're hoping to do in 2015 a travel campaign as well. And because we are alum of HBCUs, we do want to start with FAMU and all of the HBCUs first and kind of help people promote the idea of traveling and what it means. And it doesn't have to be luxurious traveling. It's the type of traveling that you do to learn more about the world and yourself, because you'll be so surprised in the things that you learn about you and how you think when you see these different things, and then you'll question yourself, which is good. So we want to help people get passports.
Definitely.
And so we want to kind of do more like a fundraiser to help people passports. So definitely be on the lookout for that. That'll be fun. That's something we would like to do next year. So yeah, those are our three big things that we're hoping to work on.
I'm excited.
Be on the lookout.
And then now let's get a little deep. And what would you tell, and that's crazy, I always do this, but I just like to just transition. What would you tell Aylin McGinnis 10 years ago, knowing what you know now?
10 years. I was 15. Oh, gosh. 15, I got to think about my state of mind then. 15, I was living in, backtrack, I think Bamberg, Germany. I was in 10th grade. At that time, I mean, I feel like even going to college, it's just too early to really figure out what you want to do. But I would tell myself not to worry so much. I was very worrisome, always worried about my next move. I've always been a very organized and punctual person. I always needed to know what was going on, what I was going to do in a year or two. But just kind of go with the flow. I think a lot of the good things that happened to me, whether it was the travel blog, meeting people, opportunities in corporate America, even though I kind of fell into accounting in corporate America, they all kind of naturally happened. And it was never for me to see and plan out in the future and pinpoint what I was going to do, where I was going to be. just to be more relaxed. I was so militant, like growing up, like, everything had to be organized, structured. I need to know
At
this. I need
15,
to
you
know
were
that.
militant. You were like,
I mean, I was always a self-doer, and me and my brother were complete opposites, and my parents always used to say that. But my brother is such a creative person. He's so artistic, but he's also a person who just goes with the flow. Whatever comes to him comes. And me, I was just like, oh no, I need this to be here. I need this to be there. I need to know what I'm going to be doing. And a lot of those good, creative, and insightful things come from just going with the flow, because those opportunities you can't lay out. If they're going to happen, they're going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of taking in the present, the moment that you're in currently, and seeking those opportunities that are there instead of not seeing them because you're worried about what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And it's kind of like, even though you have to have a healthy balance with that, because right now I'm in the mix too, because at the end of the day, you still have to plan certain things about the future. Not how you're going to get there, but at least what you want to do. What mark you're trying to hit, because I'm in a mix right now. I'm a mix between a creative, and now I realize in order to have the impact I need to have, I have to be organized and diligent, because I'm working on a billion projects. But at the end of the day, I'm working on getting these off the ground and putting people where they need to be put. So in 4 years, I can just be creative. I can just do the stuff I want to do and help the people I want to help. Like I just want to say 2 weeks, I'm going to go to Cali. Like it's Ferguson going on. I can just call my boy Kevin. We get on the plane. We go to Cali. We do our own documentary. Boom. And in 2 weeks, say if I'm feeling like I just want to go talk to some elementary schoolers about traveling, I'll just call Aylin, you got a couple days, boom, buy our ticket, we just go there and we do like a whole day workshop, like a visual experience of being in Abu Dhabi desert or whatnot. That's the kind of ideas and stuff that I want to do as I get older, when I have the influence and resources I have. But I realize right now I got to kind of tap that creative energy but focus it, and organize it. So I love the way
it's always a balance.
Yeah, it's always
in general in life. There needs to be a balance.
And I'm going to ask one more question before we go to the culture change round. It's another deep one.
Okay.
At the end of the day, and it's dang, I hate always asking, but when we are no longer here on this earth, what type of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Ooh, what type of legacy? For me, in general, life for me is just to make sure that I do good. I mean, growing up, I was always a very reserved and shy person. So I'm not necessarily extravagant or feel the need to really make sure that what I do has a huge impact on everyone. But I do need to make sure that what I contribute in my lifetime is good, whether it's not just for me, but for other people. So having a purpose, in this world and having effect on the world. And, it will never be perfect, but there's always areas of improvement for people, for societies, for countries, and in any way that I can give back, I can. So I would like for people to think of me as a good person and someone who genuinely cares and does good.
That's great. That's great. So we're about to make the switch to the culture change round. And in this round,
all right,
rapid answer. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and we're going to take it from there, okay?
Okay.
What is the best piece of advice that you ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. Gosh, you gotta hit me with the hard one.
You gotta hit you with it. You know I had to do it for you.
Best piece of advice I've ever received. My mom, for her to be Muslim, she's actually very, very liberal and open. Is to love people for who they are, just despite of what they believe in. At the end of the day, a good person is a good person, and treat them as so. And don't label people or see people differently because they do something different from you.
That's great. What is one of your personal habits that you can attribute to your success?
My personal habits. My ability to adapt to change quickly. And growing up, I moved every 10 months, 24 months, as short as 10 months. And so whether it was meeting new people, adjusting to a different environment, adjusting to a different culture and country, that helped me be easily kind of ease into change, whether it was work, personal life. I never took anything personal because I knew whatever happened in that moment was for that moment and it was meant to be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be long term.
Got you. What is your favorite book and why?
Favorite book? I actually just read it for the third time again. It's The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz.
Ooh, I love that book. I love that book.
Yeah, and it every single time I've read it, it hit me differently. And it's more of reassurance, and it's something that we all know, but it's a matter of reflecting positivity in your life and making sure you understand who you are as a person. And because of the things that happen around you, because they happen, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily intentionally out there to hurt you, and it's not personal. And the only thing that you can really change is yourself if you want to change any kind of outcome.
That is so true. And guys, ladies, females, students, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, all these links will be in the show notes. And that's a great book. It's a quick read.
Beautiful book, yeah.
And it's simple. It's like the simplest book. It's
Yes.
not giving you 18 tips.
So simple, but so mind-blowing.
Yeah. What inspires you and keeps you motivated?
What inspires me and keeps me motivated? I would say my brother. He's like a little piece of me. But at the same time, we're such complete opposites that I see things in him that I don't necessarily see in myself, or I don't push in myself. And because he can be so unconventional, it's really refreshing to hear, things come from him that I probably would never think of. And even though he's younger than me, I feel like I've learned so much from him. He's a very caring person. He's sympathetic. He's always there for others, and he's selfless.
That's great. And I had a last question, but I'm gonna change it a little bit because I feel like I never addressed this on the show. I want to have one question. What words of advice? It's two questions. What advice would you give a young African American female in today's society? Just general advice. And then I have another one. The next question is, what advice would you give to a young professional woman just entering, just leaving college or in college? So those two questions. So just kind of, it is not in any kind of lane. So just kind of just what advice would you give them in today's climate, today's society, as an African American or minority, young woman and a young professional?
So for the young woman, I would say be forgiving. I think in our generation, in our society, we've become very impatient, and we want things our way, and we've become very much more individualistic versus collective. And the things that we go through in life, and when we're hurt, I think we always think that people are out there to get us, but it's not really that way. Everyone's fighting their own battle. And so I think being forgiving it's not just good for the other person. It's a relief for you, and not holding that type of weight. And I think a lot of times people, if you see a lot of anger and things that build up and manifest in people that come from deriving any type of hate, it's usually because we haven't forgiven something that happened to us. For the young professional woman, corporate America, I would say, they always discuss about us coming into corporate America as minorities in general, and what we need to do, how we need to look, how we should speak. At the end of the day, you are a person, and our country, our society is growing in terms of diversity and how we look at diversity. So learn to be yourself a little bit. I think people nowadays don't like the standard, cut conservative corporate look all the time and corporate way of being. I've noticed it on my team where you have people who don't even open up and become themselves. Sometimes don't make very good managers because you can't relate to them. And, at the end of the day, when you go to work and you're working long hours, whatever it is that you're doing, you guys are still people, and you still have to relate, and you still have to talk. You still have to communicate. So learn to be yourself in a corporate environment. It's a struggle because of how you are at home and how you are at work are completely two different things. But you do need to show at work that you are a person and you have your own unique ideas in your own ways.
That's real. Great advice. So we're done with the culture change round. we have one question to kind of finally wrap it up. I'm a big person. I'm the culture change agent, and I want to kind of end this show out, end every show out, asking the question about the culture, because at the end of the day, especially in the minority community, there's so many things that we could do better, or we want to kind of work towards. So I love to hear different perspectives from the people that have on the show on different things. So, Aylin, if you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African American culture, what would it be and why?
I would say from an individual perspective is to be open-minded. I think that a lot of times we get caught up in our own, and I mean, our country obviously has a lot of work to do. And at the same time, we also need to make personal changes in order to create a societal change. And it's a matter of just being open-minded, be less judgmental, be accepting of other people. Um, you know, our our culture and our race has had a bad history here. But the only way that you can see positivity in any aspect, whether it's your personal life or the life of your community, you have to be a positive person. So regardless of when someone does something wrong to you or is bringing on hatred to you, you shouldn't do it back. It doesn't create any type of you know result in making anything better in your environment. So, I mean, kill people with kindness. Be open. Don't be so judgmental. Accept people for who they are. If they're different from you, then fine. But learn to accept that. That's what I would say.
Well, thank you for that powerful, powerful statement. That really, I mean, but like I said, from the bottom of my heart, and from everybody that's listening to this podcast and everybody that's viewing it, wherever you're viewing it, whatever you're doing, thank you for allowing us to give your time and your energy and your presence on the show today.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. This was great.
Nah, I really was.
Had me thinking.
Like, I really have a lot of, like, this is, I can't wait to release this to the world, because this has some amazing content. I'm interviewing amazing people, and it's just amazing. So, before we wrap it up, where can people find more about you, One Young Traveler, and keep up to date with the movement and what you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Aylin MCG, Aylin MCG. One Young Traveler is just www.oneyoungtraveler.com. You can also email us at oneyoungtraveler@gmail.com. And we also have a Instagram account, same thing, One Young Traveler. And then we have a Twitter account, which is OYTRAVELER. So OY Traveler. So you can reach us there. We love questions. We love suggestions. So yeah, just hit us up there. I also don't mind people hitting up my personal account. I don't have a personal Twitter, but just Instagram.
Got you. Everybody, the links to all those will be in the show notes. So I'm just, everything is going to be online. So like I said, Aylin, I appreciate it, and we gonna catch you. Oh dang, I forgot. I gotta wrap it up. Gotta wrap. America, world, everybody, listen. Two things before we get off the line. One, remember you're a genius. Two, change the culture. All right. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye.
And if you're in the need for a website, graphic design, visual creation, UX code, anything with a minimalist background that creates beautiful, vivid websites, images, you name it, graphics for social media, all that good stuff, you can find Aylin Marie on aylinmarie.co. That's AYLINMARIE.co.